Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Jubilee, which is the newest hero to Marvel Champions, which I feel like I just said that, but they're pumping them out again. They are doing it, and with Jubilee, first of all, I have no idea who this character is at all. Not even like, oh, I think I've heard of her. Nope, not. I'm just like, okay, here's another hero for Marvel Champions. But they're making them. I buy it because the more the merrier for Marvel Champions. But at the time of this recording, she is the newest one, and I think I've said this for multiple heroes, but I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're continuing to make these heroes feel unique from one another, because you would think at this point that they would start to feel the same, but I've played every hero. Well, that's not true. I haven't done like 3 of the big boxes, but I've played almost every hero, and to me they feel different, and Jubilation Lee is no different from that. She is a pretty solid all-arounder. And I was expecting, after playing Iceman, that they were kind of going to go down this route of using different conditions, because Iceman did like the frostbite, and I was like, okay, Jubilation Lee or Jubilee is going to be doing probably the same thing and some different with some other condition. She does not. She does something pretty cool with resources. Like, she wants to be extremely versatile in the resources of the lightning bolt, the fist, the wild, and the science. She gets a lot of benefits for spending different resources for her cards. So let's go ahead and go over herself. So she has 3 recovery, hand size 6, hit points 9, which is actually surprising. That's very low on a lot of heroes. Like, that's a bad boost card away from basically being downed. And her ability is Mall Rat, so search your deck for the shopping spree player side scheme and put that into play, which is right here. So this is like a player side scheme, so threat cannot be removed from this scheme by heroes or allies. It comes with 2 on it. And as an alter ego action, you can exhaust your identity to remove a threat from it, and any player can do this. So pretty much you're playing 2 players, you're in your alter ego, you can get rid of it. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme searches their deck and discard pile for an item card and puts it into play. Which is not horrible. Most item cards are going to be upgrades, and this can be very helpful for items or upgrades that are pretty expensive or crucial to a build. Like, there's a lot of heroes that is like, this build pops off if I get this upgrade. And if it's at the bottom of the deck and you're like, well, I guess I'm SOL, this shopping spree allows you to basically kind of kickstart your deck. So this could be huge. Now, I will say, playing her solo, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I never found her upgrades to be like crucial to getting, which is nice, but an upgrade is always great because it generally gives you a special ability. And she does have good ones, but I know there's like Iron Man would be awesome, Adam Warlock would be awesome. So there's heroes that this would be super beneficial for. So that's her main thing. And then we flip to her hero side. And then we go to her stats here, which is 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 defense. And then she has like totally resource, exhaust her to generate a wild resource. That's just good all around, especially with her stats being so bad. Like with 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. Hand size goes down to 5, which I was expecting with a low hit point of 9 that the hand size would actually stay 6, which would be unique. I can't think of any hero off the top of my head that has a good hand size when they go to their hero form. But generating a wild is awesome. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards in her deck. like I said, so let's we were talking about like shopping spree, so let's go over some of her upgrades, which is her coat. So Jubilee's little coat, it gets her +1 thwart, and the response after you play a thwart event, exhaust Jubilee's coat and choose a scheme, remove 1 threat from that scheme for each different resource type used to pay for that event. Her sunglasses are basically for her attack. So she gets +1 attack, which would give her, if you have both of these out, that would give her 2s across the board, which is not awful. But it kind of does the exact same thing as after you play an attack event, you exhaust her sunglasses to choose an enemy and deal a damage to that enemy for each different resource used. Again, she wants different different resources. And what's really cool is she has 2 types of attacks. A thwart event and an attack event. So her Flash of Light thwart event is you get to remove 3 threat from a scheme if you paid for this card using 2 different resource types, confuse an enemy. Another thing that she's really good about is confusing and stunning, and she can do that relatively well and in spades, almost AoE attack, which is really nice. And then I'll get to how this is really good too. But then for her attack, she has Firecracker. Deal 4 damage to an enemy if you pay for this card using 2 different resource types. Stun that enemy, which again is really good. I actually found with her, I was going into alter ego form a lot more than normal because she has such low hit points. It's like, oh, okay, well I just did Flash of Light. It's confused, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to alter ego form so that it won't be able to scheme. But why these 2 are so amazing is she has 3 cards in her deck called Plasmoid Energies, and they both have 2 resource costs, which is basically kind of like the strength, genius, and energy of 2 different resource types. So you can pay for Flash of Light with 1 card, which is already efficient, and it counts as 2 different resource types. So that would be like, oh, for 1 card I pay for Flash of Light and it's gonna confuse. Oh, for 1 card I pay for Firecracker and that's gonna stun on top of her moving scheme on top of dealing damage. And then she has 1 more that could be used for a bunch of her other cards. Like she has Grand Finale. Now this one it costs 3, but still you have various other resources, like you can exhaust herself to be able to generate a wild resource and play this Plasmoid Energy for Grand Finale, which is an attack which you could now use for her sunglasses. So deal 2 damage to an enemy for each different resource type, and it specifies all 4 you use to pay for this. Choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. And what's amazing about that is it's for each resource type. So you have, 1, 2, and then your wild 3, you would get to do 2 damage already, and then an additional 6 damage on top of that. So 8 damage. And then if you had her sunglasses, you could exhaust it to deal an extra damage for each different resource type you use to pay. So that would be an additional 3. So get a total of 11 damage off of 2 cards. That's a really good exchange, because usually to get 11 damage is like you have to kind of work for it, or 1 card just gives you 8 attack, something like that, but it costs a lot. And then she has other things, so like blinding flash. Choose X enemies, it costs 3, where X is the number of different resource types used to pay. Stun and confuse each chosen enemy. So like just an outright conditional effect on, okay, there's a lot of minions in play, or there's these big minions and the villain. Okay, I'm going to pay for this, and I'm going to choose 3 of these. And it's like, okay. I mean, theoretically, you can overpay, but, oh, no, I guess you really could. Well, you could use 2 of your Plasmoid Energies, and if you get, like, the combo, let's see, can you get 4 out of that? If you did all Plasmoid Energies, you would get... No, because it doesn't have wild in there. So you would get to choose 3 different enemies and stun and confuse them. So no matter what state you're in, alter ego or hero, you're basically good. And I mean, that's that's a lot of her like regular cards or her identity specific cards. I mean, she also has Wolverine, and what's good about Wolverine is when he has 4 health and deals 3 damage. But when you go to alter ego form, then you heal 3 damage from him. So he's good. But the rest of her cards, and normally I show a lot of the identity specific because it's about the character and not the regular other cards that go in. But because this is her pre-made, she has cards like 3 steps ahead. That is, for each different resource type you use to pay for this card, choose a scheme and remove 2 threat from it. So that card allows you to be versatile on removing a bunch of threat from multiple different schemes. You have Mutilated, or Multi-Talented. Multi-Talented, if you paid for this event using at least 1 Fist, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Science, remove 2 threat from a scheme. And Lightning, heal 2 damage from your identity. So that's really good. That freaked me out. On top of that, she has X-Gene. So X-Gene is, you can exhaust it to generate a wild resource for an identity-specific event, and she has quite a few identity-specific events, which would be really good with her coat and her sunglasses that the shopping spree allows you to go out and get. So that also gives you a wild resource, and herself giving a wild resource, so that's amazing. Yeah, that's a lot of her cards. Like, just pretty much that. Like, I think she is super fun. Like, but here's the thing: is she's not gonna come in and 11 damage with that is really good. But she's generally not doing a bunch, at least not herself. Like, she is very card dependent. Like, I wouldn't consider 2 thwart, 2 attack, and 2 defense to be very good. Like, she's mainly going to be exhausting herself for that wild resource. Or she's going to kind of be like, okay, 1 turn I'm going to be doing stunning and confusing a lot. 1 turn I'm going to do some damage to quite a few people. So I think she is still a very, very good support character. Like this out of all the support characters, which would be interesting to actually see a list. You know how whenever you're playing like Overwatch or something, it's like, here's your tanks, here's your DPS, here's your support. I would actually like to see that for Marvel Champions. Like, if there's like, hey, here's your... I guess that's what the justice and protection and all that is supposed to be. But I guess if we're looking at their identity-specific cards, if there's like a general, here's the role they're kind of meant to play. Or if you're just, familiar with comic books, and maybe you just kind of go off of what they do in the comics. I have no idea who this character is. So, but in terms of like, if you're playing 2-handed or if you're playing 4-player, like, she would be so beneficial to have in very clutch moments. And because she has these plasmoid energies, and there's 3 of them, like, I felt that her deck was very balanced, kind of all around. Like, especially like these regular ones, like X-Gene or Multi-Talented or 3 Steps Ahead, or even some of her higher cost allies, like Chamber, takes -1 consequential damage after he attacks a confused enemy. Well, she has so many ways to make enemies confused that it's like, okay, well, now he's just kind of out, not killing himself, and he has 2 attack and 2 defense, so she doesn't have to do it. So that's beneficial. Like, Unlikely Duo, so here's the team up with Jubilee and Wolverine, that it's like, okay, confuse an enemy, deal 4 damage to a confused enemy. So a lot of confusion, meaning that the main schemes aren't going up, which is awesome. It's and then there's Husk, so another regular justice. When Husk uses a basic power, spend 3 resources, and she gets +1 power, heals damage from herself, or she gets readied after that. I actually think I know her, funny enough. I think she has to like rip her skin off every time she uses her power, which is apparently supposed to be painful. So it's like, well, that sucks. That's a pretty horrible trade-off. I don't know. I thought that she was super fun. I like the fact that it's like, I don't know, you're able to just control. I guess is another like kind of what's like title or role is like a control character. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna make sure that no minions and villains attacking this turn, so everyone's stunned or everyone's confused. So we're not gonna lose by scheme or threat. Okay, I'm going first. So if we have a really good person who can remove a lot of scheme, but we kind of have to wait till their turn, I'm gonna make sure that none of them are powering up on that. Like, that is the role that I kind of see her playing in a multiplayer game. But even playing pure solo, which is how I mainly play Marvel Champions, I never felt like she was weak. I wasn't sitting here like, okay, I really need this card, like, to make her good. I thought she was an absolute blast. So, yeah. Alright, well, as I do with every single one of my reviews for these characters, I try to do my best to see what's the most damage that I can do. And I think I almost kind of did it with the best possible hand. So, she can have 6 cards. Oh, I guess one weakness is she has no card draw. Like, there's nothing in this deck that I have come across that was like helping you draw cards. So you are very limited on your hand. But, so let's go ahead and say she has both of her upgrades out. I don't try to do allies just because, I mean, that's just more damage. So she can have 6 cards. Firecracker would be solid. Grand Finale would be solid. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm almost thinking, because I'm not removing threat or anything, I almost think this might be a pretty solid hand here. Let's see. So let's do, if we did Firecracker, 4 damage, playing it with Plasmoid Energy. So that would be, 4 damage and then stun. And then it's an attack event, so she exhausts her sunglasses to deal 1 damage for each different resource type used to pay for it. So that's 4, 5, 6. So 6 damage. She could do it again with another Plasmoid Energy and a Firecracker. So that would be 10 damage. And then she can use Plasmoid Energy and then Grand Finale with her Jubilee. So what was it? 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 damage. 18 damage with, I mean, that's not actually an impossible hand to get. Like, I'm not, like, it's easy to actually get these out, and a lot of her cards are cheap. So 18 damage seems to be the best that I can immediately come up with off the top of my head. Like, and on top of that, she's stunning 2 enemies, which what's good about that is any enemy that has steady, which is like you need 2 things to stun to actually put the effect on or confuse. That's not impossible for her to do either. I mean, this hand alone just now stuns them, which is typically very difficult to do. I mean, she does have Waylay, which deals 4 damage, but it's after your hero thwarts, and if you happen to remove the last threat from that, it's 7 damage. Which with her and the code making it 2, and she has other cards like the Blinding Flash or the 3 Steps Ahead that allows you to remove threat from a scheme. Like, that is possible, but this is also expensive. But it does 7 damage. But 18 out of an impossible hand is not disgusting. What was the card that I made it to where it was 11 damage? 2 for each different resource type used to pay for this card. That's 2 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 damage. I don't remember why I was able to get 11, but if that's the case, then 11 from one effect would have been 11, then 15, 19. I think it adds like 1 more damage. Either way, from this hand alone, 18 damage, which drops. I mean, that doesn't one-shot. Like, that one-shot's a solo, like, villain for a lot of them. But if you're playing two-handed, that at least half-heals them, which is pretty good. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm actually going to give Jubilee... I'm gonna give her a 9. Like, I was feeling 8. I think 8 by herself, but I'm taking into consideration that extra control in a multiplayer game. Like, if I was playing her with another player in a big box setting, like, she would be super helpful. Like, I actually just played her against Venom just for shits, and I was like, she was so handy at doing enough damage for the bell tower and then making sure that, like, oh, okay, well, I want to keep these bell tower tokens on here, so I'm going to swap to alter ego because you're confused, so that means the scheme isn't going up, and I'm going to keep that scheme in check, and okay, now I'm going back to hero form, now you're stunned and you're going to take extra damage, here's all the damage. I was able to control that whole situation, which was really nice, and that's just exemplified in a multiplayer game. So I'm going to give Jubilee a 9, which is surprising because I don't know who she is. But that is my thoughts on Jubilee. Let me know what you think of her in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.